Sisters of the Light, awakening beings everywhere. It's me, Lori Ann Spagna of LoriSpagna.com, here with you today to chat briefly about the most recent eclipse, the first eclipse of the 2022 cycle, which happened just this week in May, regarding the shifting of humanity and the Ascension, how this eclipse is serving us. This isn't just about the eclipse. This is way bigger than the eclipse itself. The eclipse, which was a new moon, signified as a black moon in Taurus, the sign of Taurus, is designed to initiate and shift us, as all eclipses are, out of an old way of being and into a new way of being, the next energetic. And as always, as all eclipses do, it tends to raise up things from our unconscious into our conscious so we can become more aware. And in the sign of Taurus, it's always about values and what our values are and what we perceive to be valuable. But in particular, it's our own selves. It's how we see and perceive ourselves and who we believe ourselves to be. Who do we want to be and how do we want to express and project ourselves into the world? More importantly, this eclipse is inviting us for the remainder of the year and through the entire eclipse season, which will continue. We have 3 more eclipses for this year, this calendar year of 2022. This eclipse is inviting us to begin to recognize, for those of us who aren't there yet, the mirror reflection of all that is. Who are you reflecting as? And what are you, each of us, perceiving in the external world around us? Because here's the clue. Everything is a mirror. Everything at your vibrational bandwidth, your energetic frequency, will reflect to you who you are. And therefore, what you see and perceive, and this is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, what you see and perceive in another is the energy that you see and perceive in yourself. How you criticize and or condemn another is how you will criticize and or condemn yourself in your own inner mind. How you love one another and see another and perceive the other to be is what is within you too. So all aspects of our light and shadow reveal itself through our perspective and what we project from ourselves onto others, including people, places, things, groups, and authorities. The mirror reflection is the physical reality we exist in as individuals. This particular eclipse is asking us to become more consciously aware of how we project ourselves onto everyone and everything, and how all that exists is a mirror reflection of our own consciousness. And furthermore, what this eclipse season, the entire season, which is a combination of Taurus and Scorpio eclipses for the balance of the year, what they are inviting us to do is to begin to take 100% responsibility for everything that happens in our reality. This is quite challenging for humans because we have been taught in the old paradigm and raised to believe that there is always someone or something in the external world that is the cause. So even if it's a false authority or an authority figure, there is always someone or something else to blame. There's always someone or something else in the old paradigm that is wrong, that has wronged us, or has done something wrong, or someone or something we judge or condemn or criticize or argue with or debate with, or we have self-righteousness programs, or sometimes in that old paradigm there's a lot of what we call martyrdom programs. I did all this for you and you did nothing for me, or how could you repay me this way, or all that old stuff is projection. But in the old paradigm we didn't realize it. As we're ascending and awakening, for those of us choosing, we will begin to become more and more aware. And the part of the way we start to realize this, if you pay attention to what's known as a boomerang effect in the higher realms, a boomerang effect is when what you send out whips back and comes back at you. In reality, this has always been going on for a very long time, but because we were operating at a much lower denser reality, where there was more energetic debris density in our world, we didn't necessarily see or realize the boomerang effect. We didn't necessarily understand that it was a direct result of what we were thinking, seeing, perceiving, believing, energetically emitting, and or behaving as, right? But now in this new paradigm, as we're all up-leveling, and what these eclipses are going to really be bringing to the surface is this exact thing, that this boomerang effect will show us what we're putting out is what's coming back to us. What you put out will come back to you. And more than that, when you understand that everything you see and perceive in the external world is reflection of one's own self, that you are creating, you, all of us, are creating our experience and our reality through our own perspective and awareness, our own energy. And if we've got energetics in our field of martyrdom, anger, resentment, judgment, blame, shame, victimhood, or self-sabotaging programs, or any of those old 3D paradigm energies still lingering in our field, the boomerang effect that we experience will be highly obvious. Now, the interesting thing is that most people who are playing in those realms, they don't necessarily realize or notice the boomerang effect, but it's meant to become so obvious, glaringly obvious, that it becomes harder and harder to deny. And this is why it's so important to begin to recognize that everything is a mirror. And that as you recognize that everything is a mirror of vibrational consciousness to one degree or another, to some degree, this is when, as you take, I'm saying you, but I mean all of us, 100% responsibility for our experience, which means 100% responsibility for what we think and believe and perceive, 100% responsibility for what we emote and how we feel, and 100% responsibility for our behaviors. That is the opportunity to make the change that we desire. Because as we make this desire internally by changing what we think and perceive, by changing how we judge or up-leveling to higher consciousness and seeing and perceiving things with and from more light, and changing the way we feel about them, by transforming the energetics associated with it, by allowing ourselves to expand and up-level to more alignment with divine love, some form of greater perspective and awareness, we transform the situation, and then what mirrors back to us from us is much more pure and of the light. Now, I want to give another example beyond this concept of the boomerang effect, which is to say that if and when one becomes more and more conscious of who they are, and one becomes more and more embodying the light, one will notice, we will all notice that we have no longer, not as much ability to cause or contribute to unpleasant experiences. We also have less tolerance for unpleasant experience. That does not mean we don't have great compassion and understanding for those who are still having that. Of course we do. But in our own personal experience, we realize, I don't have to have this anymore. I don't have to create this. I don't have to be the cause of it. I don't have to contribute to it. I don't have to participate in it. I don't have to play in it. I don't have to choose it. So we have less tolerance for it because we realize by being the light that we are, and by choosing more benevolent and more positively uplifting experiences, including community, people we involve ourselves with, organizations and groups we interact with, experiences we engage in, environments we put ourselves in, we make different choices, and especially, of course, what we allow ourselves to think and believe and perceive. Now, that doesn't mean we sweep things under the carpet, and that doesn't mean we play in a game of denial or repression or suppression. Not at all. Quite to the contrary, it means we accept and allow and embrace those parts of us and transform them through our consciousness and with our energy into behaviors that are more, behaviors and energies, etc., that are more aligned with the vibrational frequencies that are for our most benevolent, best trajectory, what we desire. So we We learn to transform them by actively engaging with our own thoughts and our own emotions, our own energy, and our own consciousness. Now, coming back to the eclipse, this is what this next window of eclipse cycle is going to be bringing up more and more for the collective. And as we begin to realize, for those of us choosing an ascending timeline, we will become more and more consciously aware of the mirror reflection of all that is. And if there's something in the mirror that we don't enjoy, it will become more and more effortless for us to realize it and make change for the better by shifting into love, higher, purer frequencies of love and compassion, understanding, and forgiveness. And this is ultimately what this eclipse cycle is about. It is about us growing into and evolving into a greater capacity to love and accept ourselves and others and the entire experience of life on Earth. And as we do, this will, of course, domino effect, ripple out, and affect the collective in positive ways. So this is a very exciting time because we are at the threshold, which I would identify as a turning point for humanity as we begin to shift out of old shadow aspects of unconsciousness and into more enlightened ways of being, living, and existing on Earth. And as this in turn ripples out and affects the collective for the benefit of all. At the root of it, remember, it's so important right now for all of us choosing to awaken to take 100% responsibility for our experience. That does not mean making ourselves wrong or bad. That means making new choices about the kinds of experiences we are choosing in a conscious way by becoming the energetic vibration of that which we would desire to experience in our lives. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I want to send each and every one of you, my brothers and sisters on Earth, my deepest love and compassion, and I hope you will visit me over at LoriSpagna.com and join me for some of the activations and the upcoming retreats and the events that we host here regularly. I look forward to meeting with you in person when the time is right, and until then, I'm sending you so much love. Okay, bye-bye for now.